What's the haps, guys and dolls of CRFTgaming? Straycat James, and it's time for another Straycat Ramble. I'm sure you already noticed by the title, I'm going to be rambling about addiction. Before I go any further with that, I've got to express that I am in no way equipped with the tools to help anyone else through their addiction or to offer treatment advice. I mean, I can offer advice, but I wouldn't suggest you necessarily take it. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a professional, and on the one hand, I guess that's sort of a legal advisory statement, if you will, but more importantly, it is not that I think anyone would take my word as law on something, you know, I don't expect my word to carry that much weight, or really any weight, but I don't want anyone to sort of take something that either has worked for me, or that I'm planning to do that might, theorizing that it might work for me, because it may not work just for you, or it could even be potentially harmful to your own treatment kind of a process. So again, most of this is just talking about my own stuff and really just theories. Yeah, I can't help you. I'm more than happy to listen to people's own struggles with addiction. I have in the past, I will continue to do so. I really am more than happy to be there for that. In other words, I can do no more than any other Joe Blow in the frickin' street, you know. I can listen because of my own addiction issues. I can certainly sympathize, well, certainly empathize and sometimes sympathize. But again, I can't actually, aside from just being an ear, and I can't really do anything to help you. Wish I could, but I can't. So this is just me talking about my own stuff. Just because it's something I think will work doesn't mean it will, or that has worked for me doesn't mean it will for you. Now that we're over that little speed bump, let's talk about addiction in general. So, what was it? The American Association, I can't remember what it is. ASAM? Yeah. American Society of Addiction Medicine. That's it. Fucking brain, man. Center for Disease Control and National Institute of Health, I think. They all view addiction in the same light. Their specifics of their definition vary, but they all recognize it as addiction, as a chronic disease of the brain. They all have different... I could have pulled this up earlier. Would have helped me say that earlier. All right, so I have kind of it pulled up, and I just wanted to talk about the one that kind of hits home the most for me. Again, they all view it as a chronic brain disease, but their official definitions vary. The ASAM sort of hits home for me more, and I'll sort of briefly read a bit of it to you. So, addiction is a primary chronic disease of brain, reward, motivation, memory, and related circuitry. Dysfunction in these circuits leads to characteristic biological, psychological, social, and spiritual manifestations. This is reflected in an individual pathologically pursuing reward and/or relief, substance use, and other behaviors. There's more to it than that, but that's kind of the area I wanted to focus on myself. So my piece of that, and I could totally be misinterpreting this, probably am, but the real piece that hits home for me is the reward and or relief kind of a thing, because I wish I had the article, I couldn't find it again, talking about addiction and that reward system. You know, I kind of view it, again, this is my own piece on it, I kind of view addiction, particularly where I struggle with it, is the reward section. You know, that's why, well, that led to my alcohol abuse and my alcohol addiction, that, you know, because it sort of, you know, it was a medicine. I used it as a medicine. I abused it as a medicine. It's a shitty medicine. I don't advise it. But that reward thing really hit home for me, because it's like everything good that happens to me, and there's a lot of that. I'm very grateful to it, but it's like, it's good and it feels good, but then I have this down from it too. So I get like a buzz off of something good happening. Talk about the YouTube channel. I feel like a lot of things are very good with it. It's I know in the grand scheme of things, it's not like success, but to me it's success. I'm happy with it. You guys do awesome, and you allow that to happen. And it's good, but I kind of feel bad sometimes too, because there's that that down, if you will, from it. And it's ridiculous. There's no reason to be that way, but that is addiction, and it's part of it. At least that's the way it impacts me. One of the ways it impacts me. And why am I talking about this, by the way? What's brought this all up? Well, because I'm at a crossroad, if you will. It's a very similar crossroad I was at when I quit drinking for the final time. Newsflash, I didn't quit drinking just one time. No, I quit drinking for many, many years, and I started again and again. But I guess it could be viewed as, that was the progress to officially quitting. Anyway, I don't want to go on a ton about that. But it's a similar crossroad in that, I've been sober for a little over a year and a month. December 18th this last December was my year mark of sobriety. And I'm doing good with that. I'm doing really good with that. I still feel very strong with that. And I'm at a crossroad now where the benefits of quitting drinking, at least the major immediate ones, like the neurological and psychological ones and spiritual ones, I've reached those benefits, if that makes sense. Meaning that I still have issues going on. I still have some neurological problems. I don't mean like I'm crazy, but I'm still having issues from the addiction side of things. Which kind of put it into perspective of, because I was so focused on alcoholism, I was so focused on battling alcoholism, and I needed to. This is one of those situations that's certainly not unheard of, but one of the situations where I needed to treat the symptom before I could treat the cause. The symptom was going to kill me. The cause I can deal with later, but I needed to address the symptom. The symptom was not doing good for me. I was getting bad. So I addressed that. I've tackled that. I fought that battle. Don't get ahead of me. I'm not saying that now I can drink. No, I never, ever, ever will be able to drink responsibly. I'm aware of that. Totally aware of that. But I view that treatment as run its course in a way. And bear with me here, because again, I'm not saying I can drink again. Because now I need to turn my focus to the cause, which is addiction. And I know already that I can't just do the same things I did to treat alcoholism. I know that because I'm already doing those, and I'm still having... don't get me wrong. I'm okay. I'm more than okay. I'm good. But it's still something I have to address. It's something that I have to work with. And that's the kind of the way I look at addiction, and this is definitely going on into theory and just not advice for anyone else, but it's something the way I'm going to look at it and try to tackle it. Because the way I look at it is, it's not combating alcoholism, and the words I use are that way for a reason. I viewed it as a battle, as something to fight, something to, but addiction isn't that way to me. I don't see it as something, because it's a losing battle if you're going to try to go to war with addiction. Chronic disease, meaning there is no magic cure, there is no one treatment and you're better. Or a couple treatments and you're better. Treatment for addiction lasts till the day you die, man. It doesn't stop. I'll always be pursuing the treatment of it. So it's not a battle. It's learning to, I don't want to say learning to live with it, because that's the same line of coping, and I really, really hate that language, that word. I realize that's part of treatment, and it's said in treatment programs as learning coping methods. I know I'm kind of splitting hairs, but I really don't like the idea. I prefer acceptance. I accept the fact that I'm not always going to have control. I accept the fact that, again, because I quote suffer or am afflicted by addiction, that I'm always going to have a reward issue. I'm always going to have that struggle with good things sometimes make me feel bad. They make me feel good, but they also make me feel bad. I accept that I'm not always going to be, I think I already said, but I'm not always going to be in control. And I accept the fact that this is going to be something that affects my life and affects not to a dramatic level, but it affects my day-to-day stuff. And sometimes I'm going to feel good and sometimes I'm not going to feel good. I accept that's going to be, and there's nothing I can do to make it never happen. And I totally accept that I've got to live with with addiction. And people have to live with so much worse than that. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here at all. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't mean I want to roll over either. Just saying, okay, I accept this and I'm going to cope with this thing. I'm I don't know. I'm not going to accept the fact that, like, I'm powerless. You know, because I don't think you are. You know, I don't think I'm powerless against addiction. I think I just have to work a little harder than someone who doesn't, you know, isn't afflicted with addiction. It doesn't have that hurdle. I'm sure they've got other hurdles. Again, not put myself on a pedestal, or trying to put myself in a very dramatic light. Again, I really am okay. Don't get me wrong. But I'm at that crossroad again where I'm like, okay, alcoholism tackled. Now addiction, and I'm realizing, okay, this isn't something I can tackle. This isn't something I can go to war with. It's a different treatment method, and probably something I shouldn't try to do by myself, and I probably won't. But you know, I need to really try to practice as many healthy habits as I can, and the importance of reminding myself that this is a chronic disease of the brain. Some people use that in a bad way. And it bugs me when people do that because it makes it hard for other people. It bugs me when people just say, oh, I can't help it, I have a disease. Especially in this light. I can't help being an abuse of drugs or alcohol, though addiction and abuse are two different things, don't get me wrong. But I can't help I'm an alcoholic because I have a disease. I can't help that I am addicted to cocaine because I have a disease. I fully believe that you have to take responsibility for your actions. In the heat of the moment, you can't. I'm always an alcoholic, but when I was still an active alcoholic, if you will, I could not take responsibility for my actions in those moments. I couldn't take it at that time. But through sobriety and through treatment, I really do believe that's a big piece of treatment is taking responsibility for those things. So I'm not trying to use this as an excuse, and I don't think anyone should. And it really does, forgive my language, but pisses me off when people use that as an excuse, like, oh, I can't help it. Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me. And maybe there is something to that, I don't know, but to me, it doesn't sit well in that, I know I'm repeating myself, but it is a ramble. I think it's important to take responsibility, so I don't mean to use this as an excuse in any kind of light. It's just the reason I think it's important, I guess I've got lost my own train of thought. The reason I think it's important to acknowledge it's a disease and all that kind of stuff is to know how to treat it. And you can't treat something if you don't know what the hell it is. At least I can't. I don't know a way to treat something when you don't know what it is. And that's where I'm at. That's the crossroad I'm at because I don't really know. Some of the, you know, treating my alcoholism, or whatever, dealing with the alcoholism. I knew kind of what I was doing, and I did reach out to some people too, and a lot of people did help me. Don't get me wrong, but it was a lot of theory and a lot of trial and error, and maybe that's not the best way to do it, but it did work. And I don't know that that's necessarily, to an extent, that's what I'm going to do with addiction too. You know, I don't totally know how I'm going to approach addiction. You know, it's the treatment options for addiction. They're better than they used to be by a long shot, but they're still, you know. You've got half a room screaming that addiction isn't a brain disease, they need to suck it up, and then the other half of the room focusing on drug addiction, focusing on the symptoms, which is good, because the symptoms can kill you. The cause can kill you in a way too, but treating addiction, I don't know, I have a harder time with that. I'm sure there's information out there and I need to look, you know, and I need to reach out probably. And when I say treating addiction, it doesn't mean that does not translate to, fuck it, let's go get drunk, because alcohol's not the problem. Alcohol isn't the problem, but I'm not going to stop treating alcoholism. I'm going to treat alcoholism by treating addiction, if that makes sense. I guess it does. Anyway, I can sit here and ramble around in circles. I think I kind of got my base blah out there, and I wanted to try to keep this short. What does this mean to you guys, really? It means, you know, it means I'm never going to be a cat I'm not likely to ever be a cat who's ever going to be able to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, boom, videos, or certainly not Saturday and Sunday. And I've never said my goal is to release, or I've never said that I will release Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have in the past said I had a goal to be able to do that. You know, the channel somewhere it says Monday through Friday. That's what I kind of guarantee, is that between those times, I'm going to release some videos or a video. In theory, at least a video a week. Most likely I'm going to release more than that. But, and I don't mean to make a video, another, video, not to knock other people, but every content creator goes out there and says, oh, sorry, I'm uploading more. It's not really what I mean. It's just, I'm telling you my limitations, basically. Like a lot of people work a full-time job and all that kind of crap. And this totally impacts my life on a regular basis, just like any chronic disease would, diabetes, asthma, whatever. There's a random chronic disease that popped in my head. So that's kind of what it means for the channel. That's what it means for me. And that's where I'm at. That's the crossroad I'm at. A little bit unsure ground. It's a lot more intimidating than alcoholism. It's a lot more intimidating than quitting drinking, because at least with quitting drinking, there's like this relatively clear path. I mean, I didn't know every single step, but I understood where I was going. With addiction, I don't really understand where I'm going. I recognize some of the neurological stuff, the tweaks, if you will, again, I focus on the reward system a lot, the way it kind of works in my head. And the motivation system too. I really get hit more from the reward, but they definitely play together, I guess. And that's how it sometimes impacts the channel, because there are just some days where I almost exhibit symptoms of depression. I used to think I had depression. I'm not saying I don't, and it's not very heavy. People deal with some seriously crippling levels of depression out there. My heart goes out to them. I'm not one of them, but I certainly have a great deal of empathy for them. But I think it's really less depression and more just symptoms of addiction. So I don't know. Basically what I'm saying. I don't know. But I'm a little further than I was before in that I understand what some of addiction is. I accept what it means to me. And I don't accept the idea of just coping with it. Splitting hairs a bit, but I prefer to say living with it. Coexisting, not living with it. Coexisting. That's my goal, is to coexist, learn how to truly coexist with addiction, meaning that I don't want to look back at my life and say, man, I had some really great times, but man, I had a lot of shit, very rough days. A couple shit days and a lot of days. That ain't enough for me, because in the end of the day, I measure success, and everyone measures success differently. I personally measure success by happiness. I don't want to look back on my life and have, some good times, some shit times, but a lot of, just okay days, just days that were fine. I don't like that. It doesn't reflect something I want to do. I want to look back. I'm not naive. I'm not going to be able to say every day was great, but I do want more good days than bad, and I think that's achievable, and I don't think addiction is going to stop me from achieving that. So that's my goal. That's my mindset. That's where I'm going. And that's just kind of letting you guys know where I'm at. Again, I am okay, in case this came across as like I'm having a rough time. A couple days I've had my, the rug pulled out from under me, but overall, I am good. Anyway, falling behind a little bit on some of the videos. I got some coming out. This week I'm going to be doing a lot of catching up, which means I'll probably get a couple out this week, but I'll get them your way. I got a couple collabs. I've done some collab work with some of you cats. I feel very bad for not getting your stuff out there, because you've done your version of it, and it's awesome. You guys are really fun to play with. All you guys are really awesome. You mean the world to me. You make, like I said, not drinking easier, and I have full faith that you're going to make my own little, not battle, my path to coexisting with addiction. I feel like you guys are going to play a pretty big role in that and really be helpful to that. You've been helpful so far. I feel like I always go into this, but you guys are really awesome. You really do mean a lot. Yeah, that's all I got. You know what I'm going to say. Till next time, cool cats. When it comes to gaming, you aren't having fun, you're doing it wrong, baby. Thanks, and good night, everybody.